Every single day, billions of people salute them. Governments raise them. Soldiers die for them. And almost no one stops to ask, why is there an animal on that flag? Not decoration, not accident. Those creatures were placed there with intention, with memory, with a message that most of the modern world has completely forgotten how to read. What if the flags flying above your nation's capitals today are actually the last surviving pages of a mythology thousands of years old? Before there were borders, there were stories. Long before cartographers drew lines across continents, before any parliament debated colors or symbols, ancient peoples looked at the natural world around them and saw something more than animals. They saw power. They saw identity. They saw the divine. A lion was never just a lion. An eagle was never just a bird. These were living symbols, cosmic contracts between a people and the forces they believed governed the world. When a tribe chose an animal as their emblem, they weren't choosing a mascot. They were making a declaration about who they were at the deepest possible level. And then, empires rose. Religions shifted. Languages died. Colonial administrators redrew every boundary they could find. But the animals remained, stitched quietly into the corners of flags, pressed into the wax of royal seals, carried forward across centuries by people who, in many cases, had stopped remembering why. This is that story, the story of what was hidden and what is still waiting to be understood. Here is the question no standard history textbook asks. Why do so many nations, separated by oceans, by languages, by thousands of years of isolated history, why do they share the same animals? The eagle appears on the flags of the United States, Mexico, Albania, Egypt, Germany, and over a dozen more nations across 4 continents. The lion guards the banners of England, Ethiopia, Morocco, Sri Lanka, Bulgaria, and Kenya. The serpent winds through the symbols of Mexico, India, Greece, and deep into the cosmologies of the ancient Nile. Coincidence? Diffusion? Or something far older? Something encoded into the human mind itself? Scholars have debated this for generations. Some point to trade routes. Others cite colonial imposition. A few argue for what anthropologist Joseph Campbell called the monomyth, the idea that certain symbols arise independently, everywhere, because they speak to something universal inside us. But there is a third possibility, one that the official histories tend to overlook. What if these animals were chosen deliberately as carriers of specific sacred knowledge, and the flags of modern nations are the last echo of that transmission? Origins, the eagle and the sky father. Let us begin where the most flags begin, with the eagle. 12,000 years ago, long before Rome, long before the Aztec Empire, the eagle held a singular position across human mythology. It was the creature that moved between the world of men and the world of the gods. In ancient Sumeria, the god Enlil, lord of air and storm, was depicted with eagle wings. In the cosmology of the Lakota people of North America, the eagle carried prayers upward to the Great Spirit. In ancient Persia, the royal Faravahar symbol, still used today, features a winged figure ascending toward divine light. The pattern repeats so consistently across cultures that never met that it demands explanation. The eagle does not just represent power, it represents transcendence, the movement from the earthly to the eternal. When Rome adopted the eagle as the symbol of its legions, it was not inventing something. It was inheriting something ancient and broadcasting it across every territory it conquered. And so the eagle traveled into the heraldry of the Holy Roman Empire, into the seal of the newly formed United States, into the golden standard of the Mexican nation, where the Aztec prophecy of the eagle devouring a serpent became the founding image of an entire civilization. Every time you see that eagle, ask yourself, what prayer was it once carrying? Evidence and oral traditions, the lion that never left Africa. Now consider the lion. In 1185 AD, Richard I of England adopted the 3 lions on his royal shield. The symbol would become so embedded in English identity that it endures to this day. On football jerseys, on Buckingham Palace gates, on the wallets of schoolchildren. But the English lion did not originate in England. There are no wild lions in Britain. There never were. The symbol was carried northward through layers of conquest and cultural transmission, from Norman heraldry, which borrowed it from earlier Mediterranean traditions, which inherited it from the ancient Near East, where the lion was the sacred guardian of temples from Babylon to Jerusalem, and deeper still, across the continent of Africa, where the lion was not merely a royal symbol, but a spiritual ancestor. In Ethiopia, the Lion of Judah stood as the direct embodiment of divine kingship, a lineage traced in oral and written tradition, all the way back to the union of Solomon and Sheba. When Ethiopian emperors placed a lion on their banner, they were not using a metaphor. They were stating a genealogy, the same lion, across centuries, across continents, carrying a different meaning in every land, yet always meaning something sacred. See, hidden meanings, the serpent beneath everything. But no animal travels deeper into human history than the serpent. It is the oldest symbol we have, older than writing, older than agriculture. In Mexico, the feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl was the god of wind, wisdom, and the dawn, a creature that united the earth and sky, the animal and the divine. The image of the eagle consuming the serpent on the Mexican flag has been interpreted as conquest, yes, but in Aztec cosmology, it also represented something more complex, the eternal tension between celestial and earthly forces finding resolution. In ancient Egypt, the cobra goddess Wadjet rested upon the forehead of every pharaoh, the uraeus, a symbol of protection, sovereignty, and the eye of the divine. In Hindu tradition, Shisha, the infinite serpent, carries the entire cosmos upon its coils while Vishnu rests in the sleep between creation and destruction. Even in the biblical tradition, the serpent in the garden is not simply a villain. Scholars of ancient Hebrew have noted that the original word, nachash, carries connotations of shining, of illuminating, of revealing hidden knowledge. The serpent, in the oldest layers of human mythology, was the keeper of transformation, of death and rebirth, of the knowledge that changes everything. And it is still there, in your flag, quietly. D. Unexpected twist, the colonizer's accident. Here is what changes the story entirely. Many of the animal symbols we see on modern flags today were not chosen by the indigenous peoples of those nations. They were assigned by European colonizers who imposed their own heraldic traditions on a lands whose people already had entirely different sacred animals. The official animals of many colonized nations were placed, erased, or were layered on top of pre-existing totemic systems that entire civilizations had built their spiritual identity around. And yet, in many of those same nations, the old animal survived. Underground, in oral tradition, in village ceremony, in the names of clans and the patterns of textiles. The flag changed. The memory did not. Here is the deeper truth. Flags are political documents, but the animals inside them are cultural memories. Every civilization that has ever existed has looked at the natural world and asked the same question. What are we? And what is our relationship to something greater than ourselves? The animals were the answer. Not superstition, not primitive thinking, but a sophisticated, symbolic language developed over millennia for communicating the values, the cosmology, and the identity of a people across generations. When you see an eagle on a flag today, you are seeing the compressed memory of 10,000 years of human beings looking at the sky and believing that something up there could hear them. When you see a lion, you're seeing the echo of every throne that ever claimed the right to rule in the name of something sacred. When you see a serpent, you are standing at the oldest altar in human history. The flags did not invent these symbols. The symbols survived the flags. Why does this matter now? Because we live in an era of identity crisis. Millions of people across the world are asking, in different words, in different languages, the same fundamental question. Who are we, really? Before the colonizer, before the empire, before the borders were drawn, The animal symbols hidden inside modern flags are one of the few threads still connecting us to that answer. They are not decorations. They are transmissions from ancestors who understood something about the relationship between human beings and the natural world, something we're only beginning in the age of ecology and consciousness studies to remember. Your flag may have been designed by a committee, but the animal on it was chosen by history itself. And history, unlike governments, does not forget. Every morning, a flag rises somewhere in the world. And on that flag, an ancient creature watches, patient, silent, carrying a story that most people walking beneath it have never been told. You have been told a piece of it today. The question is, which animal is yours? And what was your people trying to say when they chose it or when it was chosen for them? Leave your nation and its flag symbol in the comments. Let's decode them together. And if this story opens something in you, the next video goes even deeper into the animal gods that entire civilizations were built around, and the ones that history almost succeeded in erasing completely. The story continues. It always has.